The alarm screamed through the command center. Red lights flashed on every wall. Commander Zektar pressed his scaled hands against the metal table and looked at the battle map. The news was bad, very bad. "Sir, we lost the eastern wall," reported his communications officer. The young alien's voice shook with fear. "The Void Swarm broke through our defenses. They're inside the base now." Zektar closed his yellow eyes for a moment. His reptilian species had faced many enemies before, but nothing like this. The Void Swarm was different. They were like hungry insects at the size of buildings. They ate everything in their path: planets, ships, people. Nothing could stop them. "How many soldiers do we have left?" he asked. 173, sir. All species combined." The commander's heart sank. They had started with over 2,000 defenders. Now they were down to less than 200. The mining world of Kepler 438b was going to fall. And when it did, 3 other star systems would be next. The quantum crystals on this planet powered the Coalition's faster-than-light ships. Without them, the entire galactic defense network would collapse. But what could 173 soldiers do against millions of Void Swarm creatures? "Sir, incoming message from High Command," said the communications officer. Zektar activated the hologram projector. The image of Admiral Kethmore appeared above the table. The old warrior's blue skin looked tired. His 4 arms moved in the gesture of respect. "Commander Zektar," the admiral said, "I wish I had better news. All our main fleets are fighting battles across 12 different fronts. The Void Swarm has attacked everywhere at once. We cannot send reinforcements." "What are our orders, sir?" "Hold your position as long as possible. Destroy the quantum crystal mines before the enemy reaches them. We cannot let the Void Swarm get those crystals." The hologram disappeared. Zektar stared at the empty space where his commanding officer had been. "Hold position. Destroy the mines." Those were nice words for die fighting and take everything valuable with you. The building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The Void Swarm was getting closer. "Sir, we should evacuate," said his tactical officer. Kryast was a bird-like alien with beautiful feathers and sharp eyes. She was also the smartest officer on his staff. "We can save some of our people." "No," Zektar said firmly. "These crystals are too important. If we run, billions of people in 3 star systems will die. We stay." Another explosion rocked the building. This time, the lights went out for a few seconds. When they came back on, several ceiling panels had fallen. "Sir, I'm sending an emergency broadcast on all Coalition frequencies," the communications officer said. "Maybe someone will hear us." "Do it," Zektar ordered. He did not have much hope. Every Coalition ship was busy fighting. But they had to try. The communications officer typed quickly on his control panel. "Emergency broadcast active, sir. Broadcasting on all channels." Zektar picked up the microphone. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. "This is Commander Zektar of the Galactic Defense Coalition. We are defending the quantum crystal. Mines on Kepler 438b. We are under attack by the Void Swarm. We have less than 200 soldiers left. We need immediate military assistance. Any ship, any species, any help you can provide. The fate of 3 star systems depends on these crystals. Please respond." He put down the microphone. The room was quiet, except for the sound of distant explosions. Nobody spoke. Everyone knew the truth. Help was not coming. "Sir, we're getting responses," the communications officer said suddenly. "Multiple ships are acknowledging our broadcast." Zektar felt a small spark of hope. "How many ships?" 17 ships have responded, sir. But they're all too far away. The closest one is 6 hours out. We don't have 6 hours." The hope died in Zektar's chest. 6 hours. They would be dead in 1 hour, maybe less. Wait, sir. I'm getting another signal. It's ... strange. Strange how? It's coming from an unknown sector, a species I've never heard of. They call themselves humans? From a world called Sol 3? Zektar frowned. He had been a coalition officer for 30 years. He knew every member species. Are you sure? Yes, sir. They're saying they can provide immediate military assistance. They want to know our coordinates. Immediate assistance? How is that possible? I don't know, sir. But they're asking for permission to deploy. Zektar looked at the battle map again. The red dots showing enemy positions were everywhere. His blue dots were disappearing one by one. What did he have to lose? Give them our coordinates, he said. Tell them we'll take any help we can get. The communications officer nodded and sent the message. A few minutes later, he looked up with surprise. Sir, they're responding. They say they'll be here in 20 minutes. 20 minutes? That's impossible. The nearest coalition ship is 6 hours away. That's what they said, sir. 20 minutes. Zektar walked to the window. Outside, he could see the glow of fires in the distance. The void swarm was burning everything. As they advanced, his soldiers were fighting bravely, but they were being pushed back step by step. Sir, what do we know about these humans? Asked Cryest. The communications officer checked his database. Very little, sir. Sol 3 is listed as a Class 12 Deathworld. Most coalition species consider it uninhabitable. A Deathworld? Zektar had heard of such places. Planets so dangerous that only the toughest species could survive there. And they want to help us? That's what they say, sir. Another explosion shook the building. This time, some of the wall panels cracked. The void swarm was almost at their door. Sir, contact from the humans again, the communications officer said. They want to know if we have a safe landing zone. Zektar almost laughed. Safe landing zone? The entire planet was a war zone. Tell them we don't have anywhere safe. The enemy is everywhere. The communications officer sent the message. A moment later, he looked up with a confused expression. Sir, they say that's perfect. They prefer it that way. They prefer it that way? Zektar repeated. What kind of species prefers to land in the middle of a battle? Before anyone could answer, the building shook again. This time, they could hear the sound of the void swarm's claws scraping against the walls outside. Sir, they're here, Kryes said quietly. The humans. There's a ship coming down through the atmosphere. Zektar looked up at the ceiling. Somewhere above them, strangers from a Deathworld were coming to help. He did not know if they were heroes or fools, but they were all he had left. The human ship looked like it had been built from spare parts. Commander Zektar stared at it through his binoculars as it landed in the middle of the battlefield. The vessel was smaller than most coalition ships, but it moved fast, very fast. Sir, they're landing right in the center of the void swarm forces, reported Kryes. Are they crazy? The ship touched down with a loud crash. It had no smooth landing system like coalition vessels. Instead, it hit the ground hard and stayed there. Thick metal legs extended from its sides to keep it steady. Sir, incoming transmission from the human ship, said the communications officer. Put it through, Zektar ordered. A voice came through the speakers. It was deep and calm, but there was something different about it. Something that made Zektar's scales tingle with warning. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Iron Wolf. We're on the ground and ready to assist. Request immediate tactical update. Zektar picked up the microphone. Captain Morrison, this is Commander Zektar. You've landed in the middle of a war zone. The void swarm has you surrounded. You need to get out of there immediately. Negative, Commander. We're exactly where we want to be. How many hostiles are we looking at? Zektar looked at his tactical display. The numbers were terrible. Captain, you're facing at least 50,000 void swarm creatures. They're between you and our position. You have no way out. There was a pause. Then the human laughed. Actually laughed. Only 50,000? My crew was hoping for more of a challenge. Captain, I don't think you understand. These creatures are 3 meters tall. They have acid for blood. Their claws can cut through steel, and they never stop attacking. Sounds like a typical Tuesday back home, the human replied. We're deploying. Now, try to keep up. The transmission ended. Zektar stared at the radio in confusion. Keep up? Keep up with what? Sir, look at this, Christ said. She was pointing at the tactical display. The human ship is opening its doors. On the screen, Zektar could see small figures moving out of the ship. They were much smaller than the void swarm creatures, about the same size as most coalition species, but they moved differently. They moved like predators. How many humans are there? Zektar asked. 50, sir. 50 humans against 50,000 void swarm creatures. The numbers were insane. Zektar had seen brave soldiers before, but this was not bravery. This was madness. Sir, the humans are advancing, the communications officer said. They're walking straight toward the largest group of enemies. Zektar watched the tactical display in horror. The human dots were moving directly into the red mass of void swarm positions. They were going to be eaten alive. Then something strange happened. The red dots started disappearing. What's happening to our sensors? Zektar demanded. The sensors are working fine, sir, Christ replied. The void swarm creatures they're dying. That's impossible. 50 soldiers cannot kill 50,000 enemies. But the display did not lie. The red dots were vanishing one by one, and the human dots kept moving forward. Sir, I'm getting audio from the battlefield, the communications officer said. The humans have their communications open. Put it through. The speakers crackled to life. Zektar heard sounds he had never heard before. Explosions, yes. Weapons. Fire, yes. But also something else. The humans were talking to each other during the battle, and they sounded ... happy. Jake, there's a big group of bugs to your left, a female voice said. I see them, Lisa. Danny, can you handle that nest over there? Already on it, Captain. These things are not as tough as the spiders we fought on Kepler 7. Spiders on Kepler 7? Zektar whispered. What kind of world do these humans come from? A new voice joined the conversation. Captain, we've got acid spitters coming in from the north. Want me to take them out? Go ahead, Amy. Try to save some of the acid. We might need it later. Save the acid? Christ asked. Why would they want to save acid? The sounds of battle continued, but it was not the sound of 50 people fighting for their lives. It was the sound of 50 people having fun. Sir, the tactical display is showing impossible readings, the communications officer said. The humans are moving through the void swarm forces like they're not even there. Zektar looked at the screen again. The human dots were spreading out across the battlefield. Everywhere they went, the red dots disappeared. It was like watching a disease spread through the enemy ranks. Sir, incoming transmission from Captain Morrison, the communications officer said. Put it through. Commander Zektar, this is Captain Morrison. We've cleared a path to your position. We're sending a team to reinforce your eastern wall. Captain, the eastern wall is completely overrun. It's too dangerous. Commander, with respect, you asked for help. We're here to help. My people know how to handle dangerous situations. Before Zektar could reply, his tactical officer spoke up. Sir, we're getting reports from the eastern wall. The void swarm forces there are ... retreating. Retreating? The void swarm never. Retreats. They are now, sir. Our soldiers report that a small group of humans arrived and the enemy just ran away. Zektar did not understand. The Void Swarm was a hive mind. They felt no fear. They knew no retreat. They attacked until they died, but somehow these humans had made them run. Sir, direct communication from the eastern wall, the communications. Officer said, "It's Sergeant Telver. Put him through." "Commander, this is Sergeant Telver. The humans are here. They're fighting alongside us." "Sir, I've never seen anything like it." "Report, Sergeant." "Sir, they don't fight like us. They don't take cover. They don't retreat. They just attack. And the Void Swarm can't handle it. These humans are moving through acid clouds like it's nothing. They're lifting debris that would crush our soldiers. One of them got his arm cut off and just kept fighting." "He kept fighting with one arm?" "Sir, he tied a tourniquet around the wound and picked up a bigger gun. He said it was just a scratch. Zektar felt his blood turn cold. What kind of species could lose an arm and call it just a scratch? Sergeant, are you safe?" "Safer than I've been in days, sir. These humans they're not like us. They're not afraid of anything. They're actually enjoying this fight. One of them told me that this battle reminds him of hunting season back home." "Hunting season?" "Yes, sir. Apparently, on their world, they hunt creatures for fun. He said the Void Swarm is easier than hunting because they don't hide." The transmission ended. Zektar sat down heavily in his chair. He had asked for reinforcements. He had gotten 50 soldiers from a Deathworld. Soldiers who thought losing an arm was minor. Soldiers who hunted dangerous creatures for entertainment. "Sir, the humans are requesting permission to advance to the mining facilities," the communications officer said. "Captain Morrison says they want to secure the primary objective. The mining facilities are at the center of the Void Swarm nest. It's suicide. Should I tell them that, sir?" Zektar looked at the tactical display. The human dots were still moving, still fighting, still winning against impossible odds. "No," he said quietly. "I don't think they care." Sergeant Lisa Martinez crouched behind a broken wall and smiled. The Void Swarm had dug tunnels everywhere. Perfect. She loved working with explosives, and tunnels were easy targets. "Danny, can you see the main tunnel entrance from your position?" she asked into her radio. "Yeah, I see it. Looks like about 200 bugs coming through." "You want me to collapse it?" "Negative. I want you to wait until they're all inside. Then we blow it." Lisa pulled out her demolition kit. The other coalition species always looked shocked when they saw human military equipment. They used energy weapons and force fields. Humans used explosives and bullets. Simple tools, but very effective. "Lisa, you sure about this?" asked Corporal Tony Harper. "Those tunnels go deep. We might bring down the whole hillside." "That's the idea," Lisa replied. "The bugs think they're safe underground. Let's change their minds." She planted the charges quickly. Human explosives were different from coalition technology. They were louder, messier, and much more powerful. Lisa had learned to make bombs when she was 12 years old, back on Earth. Her father had been a mining engineer. "Always know how to break things," he had told her. "You never know when you'll need to." "Charges set," she reported. "Everyone get back." The humans moved away from the tunnel entrance. Lisa waited until the sounds of marching grew louder. The Void Swarm creatures were packed tight in the tunnel. Perfect. "Fire in the hole," she said, and pressed the detonator. The explosion was beautiful. The hillside shook. The tunnel entrance disappeared in a cloud of dust and rocks. The screaming, sounds from inside the tunnel, stopped suddenly. "Nice work, Lisa," came Captain Morrison's voice over the radio. "That was about 300 bugs. Keep it up," Lisa grinned. 300 down. Only 49,700 to go. Across the battlefield, Danny Rodriguez was having his own fun. The Void Swarm creatures were strong, but they were also stupid. They attacked in straight lines. They never changed their tactics. Danny had been fighting for 6 hours straight, and he was just getting warmed up. "Come on, you ugly bugs," he said to himself as he reloaded his rifle. "Is that all you've got?" A Void Swarm warrior charged at him. It was 3 meters tall, with claws like swords. Its acid blood dripped from its mouth. Danny did not run. He did not hide. He stepped toward it. The creature swung its claws. Danny ducked and shot it in the head. The bug fell over backwards. "Too slow," Danny said. His radio crackled. "Danny, you've got about 20 bugs coming up behind you," warned Amy Thompson. "Only 20? Send more." Danny turned around. The Void Swarm. Creatures were crawling over the rocks toward him. Their yellow eyes glowed in the darkness. They made horrible hissing sounds. Danny had grown up in the mountains of Colorado. He had hunted bears and mountain lions since he was 10 years old. These alien bugs were bigger than bears, but they were not smarter. He aimed carefully and started shooting. 1 shot, 1 kill. 1 shot, 1 kill. His rifle never missed. His hands never shook. After 30 minutes, all 20 creatures were dead. "Area secure," he reported. "What's next?" Meanwhile, the coalition soldiers were watching in amazement. Commander Zektar had sent observation teams to record the human fighting methods. What they saw scared them. "Sir, you need to see this," said Cryest. She was reviewing video footage. From the eastern wall. "The human female, the one called Amy. She's doing something impossible." The video showed Amy Thompson leading a night attack on a Void Swarm nest. It was completely dark. The coalition soldiers could not see anything without their night vision equipment. But Amy was moving like she could see perfectly. "How is she doing that?" Zektar asked. "I don't know, sir. Humans must have natural night vision. But that's not the strangest part." The video continued. Amy was making sounds. Strange, terrifying sounds. They sounded like thunder and earthquakes and dying animals. The Void Swarm creatures were backing away from her. "What is she doing?" "I think she's trying to scare them, sir." "And it's working." The video showed the Void Swarm creatures running away from Amy. They were not retreating to regroup. They were fleeing in panic. "Sir, the human is using psychological warfare," Christ explained. "She's making sounds that frighten the enemy. Our analysis shows these are recordings of natural disasters from their home world." "Natural disasters?" "Yes, sir. Thunderstorms, volcanic eruptions, predator calls. Things that would kill most species. But to humans, these are just normal sounds from home." Zektar stared at the video. The humans were using the sounds of death itself as weapons. "What kind of world produced such creatures?" "Sir, incoming report from Sergeant Velkar," the communications officer said. "He's been observing the human called Kevin. Put him through." "Commander, this is Sergeant Velkar. I'm watching the human sergeant train our soldiers." "Sir, you need to see this." "What's happening, Sergeant?" "The human is teaching our people his military tactics. He says the secret is to be unpredictable. When the enemy expects you to run, you attack. When they expect you to hide, you charge." "Sir, it's working. Our soldiers are starting to fight like humans." "Is that good or bad?" "I don't know, sir, but they're not dying anymore." The transmission ended. Zektar looked at his tactical display. The human dots were still moving across the battlefield. They were not just fighting the Void Swarm. They were teaching other species how to fight like humans. "Sir, urgent message from Captain Morrison," the communications officer said. "Put it through." "Commander Zektar, this is Captain Morrison. We've reached the mining facilities." The Void Swarm has built a nest around the main crystal deposits. We're going in. Captain, that's their primary hive. There could be thousands of creatures in there. Copy that, Commander. We're looking forward to it. The transmission ended. Zektar shook his head. The humans were not just fearless. They were eager to face danger. They wanted to fight the strongest enemies in the worst conditions. Sir, we're getting live video from the mining facilities, Christ reported. The humans are entering the hive. The video showed the inside of the Void Swarm nest. It was like a nightmare. The walls were covered with eggs. Strange fluids dripped from the ceiling. The air was thick with poison gassed out. The humans walked through it all like they were taking a stroll in the park. Sir, they're not wearing breathing equipment, Christ said in amazement. How are they surviving in that atmosphere? I don't know, Zektar replied. But I'm starting to understand why the world is classified as a death world. On the video, the humans were setting up their equipment. They moved efficiently, like they had done this many times before. They were not afraid. They were not struggling. They were working. Sir, Captain Morrison is requesting permission to use extreme measures to clear the hive. The communications officer said, What kind of extreme measures? He didn't specify, sir. He just said it would be loud and messy. Zektar thought. About it, the humans had already done the impossible. They had fought through 50,000 enemies and reached the most dangerous place on the planet. If they said they needed extreme measures, who was he to argue? Tell him he has permission to use whatever methods he thinks necessary, Zektar said. Yes, sir. A few minutes later, the ground shook. Then it shook again. Then it kept shaking for 10 minutes straight. Sir, the mining facilities are gone, Christ reported. The entire Void Swarm nest has collapsed. What about the humans? There, walking out of the rubble, sir. All 50 of them. They're carrying the quantum crystals. Zektar stared at the tactical display. The red dots around the mining facilities had disappeared. All of them. The humans had destroyed the entire nest. Sir, incoming transmission from Captain Morrison, the communications officer said. Put it through. Commander Zektar, this is Captain Morrison. Primary objective secured. All quantum crystals recovered. Minor casualties on our side. Minor casualties? Yes, sir. Danny got bit by one of the big bugs. Lisa has a few scratches. Amy lost a finger. Nothing serious. Nothing serious? Zektar repeated. Your soldier lost a finger? Sir, Amy says she's got 9 more. She'll be fine. The transmission ended. Zektar sat in his chair and tried to process what he had just heard. The humans had destroyed the largest Void Swarm nest on the planet. They had saved the quantum crystals, and they considered losing a finger to be nothing serious. Sir, what do we do now? Asked Christ. Zektar looked at the tactical display. The Void Swarm forces were scattered and broken. The humans had won the battle in less than 8 hours. We thank them, he said quietly, and we pray they stay on our side. The Void Swarm had never retreated before. In 300 years of galactic warfare, they had never shown fear. But now, Commander Zektar watched his tactical display as thousands of the creatures fled from human positions. Sir, this is unprecedented, said Christ. The Void Swarm is abandoning their forward positions. They're pulling back to their command ships. Why? Zektar asked. What changed? The humans, sir. The Void Swarm can't adapt to human tactics. Every time they try a new approach, the humans do something unexpected. Lieutenant Amy Thompson was leading a night assault on the Void Swarm's communication center. She had lost her index finger in the morning battle, but she had wrapped it in bandages and kept fighting. Her squad moved through the darkness like ghosts. Okay, people, she whispered into her radio. The bugs use pheromones to communicate. If we can disrupt their chemical signals, we can blind their whole network. How do we do that? Asked Private Mike Chun. We make them smell something they hate, Amy replied. Everyone activate your sound systems. We're going to broadcast Earth's greatest hits. The humans had brought audio equipment with them, not for entertainment, for warfare. Amy had loaded her system with recordings from Earth's most dangerous environments. Thunderstorms that could kill, volcanoes that could destroy cities, the roar of predators that hunted in the dark. Broadcasting now, she said. The sounds of Earth's fury filled the night air. Thunder crashed, lightning crackled. The howls of hunting wolves echoed across the battlefield. To humans, these were just familiar sounds from home. To the void swarm, they were the voices of nightmares. The alien creatures began to panic. Their organized formations broke apart. They scattered in all directions, desperate to escape the terrible sounds. It's working, reported Mike. They're running away from us. Good, Amy said. Now we follow them and finish the job. Across the battlefield, Staff Sergeant Kevin Walsh was working with coalition forces to establish a unified defense. The alien soldiers were brave, but they fought like they were trying to survive. Kevin was teaching them to fight like they were trying to win. Listen up, he told a group of coalition soldiers. You're thinking too much. In combat, thinking gets you killed. You need to act on instinct. But Sergeant Walsh, said a young Saurian soldier, we are not predators like humans. We don't have those instincts. Sure you do, Kevin replied. You just need to find them. What scares you the most? The void swarms acid blood, the soldier answered. Right, so instead of avoiding it, use it. When they bleed, collect the acid. Turn their blood into your weapon. The coalition soldiers looked at each other in confusion. Use the enemy's blood as a weapon? It was a human idea. Brutal and practical. Sergeant, that's very dangerous, said another soldier. Everything's dangerous, Kevin replied. The question is, do you want to be dangerous too? He showed them how to collect the acid in improvised containers, how to throw it at enemy positions, how to use the void swarm's own biology against them. Remember, Kevin said, when you're outnumbered, be unpredictable. When you're outgunned, be creative. When you're facing certain death, charge harder. The coalition soldiers tried to follow his advice. They were not as naturally aggressive as humans, but they were learning. They started taking risks. They started thinking like predators instead of prey. Sir, the coalition forces are becoming more effective, reported Cryest. Their casualty rates are dropping. Their success rates are increasing. How is that possible? Zektar asked. The humans are teaching them to fight like humans, sir. It's changing their entire approach to warfare. Master Sergeant Carol Davis was leading a team deep into Void Swarm territory. Her mission was to capture enemy intelligence. She had volunteered for the most dangerous assignment on the planet. Carol, you sure about this? Asked Captain Morrison over the radio. That's their primary intelligence nest. It's going to be heavily defended. That's why I want to go there, Carol replied. If we can get their tactical data, we can predict their next moves. Be careful. We need you back in one piece. I'm always careful, Captain. I'm just not afraid. Carol's team moved through the enemy territory like they owned it. They did not sneak. They did not hide. They walked openly, carrying their weapons like they were out for a morning stroll. The void swarm creatures saw them coming. But instead of attacking, they hesitated. The humans' confidence was disturbing. No species walked so calmly into enemy territory unless they were very dangerous. Contact ahead, reported Specialist Tony Harper. About 30 bugs. They're watching us, but they're not attacking. They're scared, Carol said. Good, Let them be scared. The team reached the intelligence nest without firing a shot. The void swarm creatures moved aside and let them pass. They were too confused to attack. Sir, this is incredible, Tony said. The bugs are just ... avoiding us. They're learning, Carol replied. Word is spreading through their hive mind. Humans are dangerous. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary. They entered the nest and found exactly what they were looking for. Tactical maps, communication codes, battle plans. The humans worked quickly to copy everything they could find. Got it, Carol said. All their tactical data. We know we're there. Going next. Carol, you need to get out of there, came Morrison's voice over the radio. We're detecting massive enemy movement toward your position. Copy that, Captain. We're leaving now. But as they tried to leave, the void swarm finally attacked. Hundreds of creatures surrounded the intelligence nest. They had decided that the humans were too dangerous to let escape. Well, Carol said, calmly, looks like we're going to have to fight our way out. All of them? Tony asked. There are hundreds of them. So? We're humans. We like bad odds. The battle was fierce. The void swarm creatures came from all directions. They used their acid blood and razor claws. They fought with the desperation of cornered animals. The humans fought back with the efficiency of apex predators. They used every weapon they had. They used the environment against their enemies. They used their own injuries as advantages. Tony's arm was burned by acid. He used his damaged limb as a club. When Carol's helmet was cracked, she used the broken pieces as throwing weapons. When their ammunition ran low, they took weapons from dead enemies. This is fun, Carol said as she fought 3 Void Swarm warriors at once. Reminds me of the bar fight in Denver. You got in a bar fight with 3 people? Tony asked. 3 bears, Corral corrected. Long story. After 2 hours of fighting, they had cleared a path to the exit. The void swarm creatures were retreating again. They had learned that humans became more dangerous when they were hurt. Intelligence package. Secure, Carl reported. Heading back to base. Outstanding work, Morrison replied. What's your condition? We're fine, Captain. A few scratches. Nothing serious. Commander Zektar received the human intelligence data with amazement. The tactical information was incredibly detailed. It showed the Void Swarm's entire battle plan for the next 3 star systems. Sir, with this information, we can predict their every move, said Kryest. We can prepare defenses. We can warn the other systems. How did the humans get this? Zektar asked. They walked into the enemy's most secure facility and took it, sir. The Void Swarm tried to stop them, but the humans fought their way out. How many humans were in the assault team? 5, sir. 5 humans against thousands of Void Swarm creatures. Zektar shook his head. 5 humans had done what entire coalition fleets could not do. They had penetrated the enemy's defenses and stolen their secrets. Sir, incoming transmission from Coalition Command, the communications officer said. Put it through. Admiral Kethmore appeared on the hologram again. But this time, he looked different. His 4 arms were moving in gestures of excitement. His blue skin was brighter. Commander Zektar, we've been monitoring your situation. The reports were getting sound impossible. Is it true that 50 humans have defeated the entire Void Swarm force on your planet? Yes, sir. Not only defeated them, but captured their intelligence data. We now know their plans for the next 3 systems. How is this possible? The Void Swarm has never been defeated in direct combat. Sir, the humans are ... different. They don't fight like any species we've ever seen. They're not trying to survive. They're trying to win. Admiral Kethmore was quiet for a moment. Commander, I'm sending you new orders. You are to establish formal diplomatic contact with these humans. We need to know more about their species. Yes, sir. And Commander, find out if they have more ships. The transmission ended. Zektar looked at his staff. Everyone was thinking the same thing. If 50 humans could do this much damage, what could 500 do? Or 5,000? Sir? Captain Morrison is requesting a meeting, the communications officer said. He wants to discuss next steps. Tell him to come to the command center. It's time we had a proper conversation. 20 minutes later, Captain Jake Morrison walked into the Coalition Command Center. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with scars on his hands and face. His uniform was dirty and torn, but his eyes were alert and calm. Commander Zektar, he said, extending his hand. It's good to finally meet in person. Zektar looked at the offered hand. Humans apparently greeted each other by gripping hands. It seemed like everything they did was a test of strength. Captain Morrison, Zektar replied, shaking. The Void Swarm command ship was a nightmare made real. It hung in space like a giant insect, its biometal hull pulsing with alien life. Inside, the corridors were designed to drive most species insane. The walls moved. The floors were soft and wet. Strange sounds echoed from every direction. Captain Jake Morrison walked through it all like he was touring a museum. Nice place, he said into his radio. Reminds me of the caves back in Kentucky. Captain, the psychological effects should be overwhelming, said Master Sergeant Carol Davis. How are you handling it? Carol, I grew up in a house with 6 older brothers. This is peaceful compared to that. The boarding party consisted of 12 humans. They had fought their way through the ship's outer defenses and were now heading for the command center. The Void Swarm had tried everything to stop them. Acid traps, poison gas, creatures designed specifically to kill intruders. Nothing worked. Jake, we've got another batch of those mindworm things ahead, reported Specialist Tony Harper. They're trying to get into our heads. Let them try, Jake replied. Human brains are weird enough already. They'll just get confused. The mind worms were the Void Swarm's ultimate weapon. They attacked the nervous system directly, causing fear, panic, and madness. They had broken the minds of entire armies. But when they tried to attack the humans, something unexpected happened. The humans' brains fought back. Tony, you getting? Any strange thoughts? Asked Carol. Yeah, but they're not from the worms. I'm thinking about my ex-wife. That's much scarier than anything these bugs can come up with. The humans pushed deeper into the ship. Every corridor was a new horror. The walls bled, the air screamed. Gravity shifted randomly. It was designed to be unbearable. This is actually pretty cool, said Private Mike Chun. It's like a haunted house, but with real monsters. Mike, only you would think this is fun, Carol replied. Come on, Sarge. When else are we going to see alien technology this advanced? This is history in the making. The humans reached the command center without losing a single person. Inside, they found the Void Swarm Queen. She was enormous, filling most of the room. Her body was a mass of writhing tentacles and glowing eyes. She was the mind that controlled billions of creatures across the galaxy. She looked at the humans and spoke in a voice like breaking glass. You should not exist. Your minds should be broken. Your bodies should be dissolved. Why do you still function? Jake stepped forward. Ma'am, we're from Earth. We're used to things trying to kill us. Impossible. I have conquered 1,000 species. I have broken minds across 100 star systems. What makes you different? Different? Jake thought about it. I guess we're just stubborn. The Queen's eyes glowed brighter. I will show you. True fear. I will fill your minds with the terror of the void itself. She unleashed her full psychic power at the humans. Images of death and horror flooded their minds. Visions of planets being consumed. The screams of dying civilizations. The cold emptiness of space. The humans looked around at each other. Anyone else seeing the scary movie? Asked Tony. Yeah, replied Mike. Not bad special effects, but the plot is kind of predictable. Mike's right, said Carol. I've seen scarier things on late-night television. The Queen was stunned. Her ultimate weapon had failed completely. The humans were not afraid. They were critiquing her technique. How is this possible? She demanded. Lady, we're from a world where everything wants to eat us, Jake explained. Spiders the size of dinner plates. Sharks that can bite a boat in half. Bears that weigh more than cars. We evolved alongside monsters. You're going to have to try harder than that to scare us. The Queen tried again. This time, she showed them images of their own deaths. Each human saw himself being torn apart by void swarm creatures. Oh, that's me getting eaten by the big bug, Mike observed. Good attention to detail. Mine shows me being dissolved by acid, said Tony. Very realistic. I like mine, said Carol. I go down fighting at least 20 bugs. That's how I want to be remembered. The Queen's voice rose to a shriek. Why are you not afraid of death? Because everyone dies, Jake replied simply. The question is what you do before that happens. We chose to help people. You are insane. Your entire species is insane. Maybe, Jake agreed, but we're the good kind of insane. The humans set up their equipment around the command center. They worked efficiently while the Queen raged at them. Her psychic attacks continued, but the humans ignored them like background noise. Charges set, reported Carol. When this goes off, it'll take out the ship's entire nervous system. Will that kill her? Asked Mike. Probably. But that's not the point. The point is to stop her from controlling her fleets. Jake opened a communication channel to all coalition forces. This is Captain Morrison. We're about to sever the void. Swarm's command structure. Be ready for mass confusion in enemy ranks. You cannot defeat me, the Queen screamed. I am eternal. I am inevitable. Lady, you made one big mistake, Jake replied. You attacked our neighbors. Humans are very protective of their friends. I do not understand your species. That's okay. Most of the time, we don't understand ourselves either. Jake pressed the detonator. The explosions rippled through the ship's bioneural network. The Queen's screams echoed through space as her connection to the swarm was severed. Primary target neutralized, Jake reported. Command structure is down. Across the galaxy, void. Swarm fleets suddenly stopped moving. Without their Queen's guidance, they could not coordinate attacks. They could not adapt to changing situations. They could not function as a unified force. Jake, we need to get out of here, Carol said. This ship is dying. The humans ran through the collapsing corridors. The biometal walls were cracking. Acid was leaking from broken systems. The artificial gravity was failing. This way, Jake called out. Emergency exit is through that sphincter door thing. Did you just call an alien doorway a sphincter? Tony asked. If it looks like one and opens, like one, then that's what it is. The humans reached their boarding craft just as the command ship began to break apart. They flew away as the massive vessel collapsed in on itself. Mission accomplished, Jake reported. Void Swarm command ship destroyed. Queen eliminated. Enemy forces are leaderless. Commander Ziktar's voice came over the radio. Outstanding work, Captain. Coalition forces report that Void Swarm fleets are retreating across all fronts. Happy to help, Commander. Captain, I have a question. What do you call what you just did? Jake thought about it. We call it Tuesday. Tuesday? It's a day of the week back home. Nothing special about it. There was a long pause. Captain, you destroyed the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy, and you call it nothing special? Commander, last week we fought pirates on a gas giant. where the pressure would crush most ships. The week before that, we hunted raiders through an asteroid field full of radioactive crystals. This job was actually pretty easy. Easy? The Void? Swarm only attacked in straight lines. They never changed tactics. Back home, we fight creatures that are smart and dangerous. These bugs were just dangerous. Another pause. Captain, what exactly do you fight on your homeworld? Oh, all kinds of things. Bears, wolves, sharks, crocodiles, poisonous snakes, venomous spiders, hurricane winds, lightning storms, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, forest fires, blizzards, tornadoes, flash floods. Stop, Zektar said. Please stop. Is everything okay, Commander? Captain, I need to ask you something important. Are all humans like you? Like me how? Fearless, violent, completely insane. Jake laughed. Commander, I'm one of the calm ones. You should meet my sister. She's a Marine. The silence on the radio lasted for a full minute. Captain, Zektar said finally, on behalf of the Galactic Defense Coalition, I want to thank you and your crew. You saved not just our mission, but possibly our entire civilization. You're welcome, Commander. That's what neighbors do. I have one final question. Will humanity consider joining the coalition as a permanent member? I'll ask when I get home. But I think the answer will be yes. We like helping people. And we really like fighting bad guys. And if other enemies threaten coalition worlds, then they'll learn what the Void Swan just learned. Don't mess with our friends. The human ship disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind a battlefield, covered with the wreckage of the galaxy's most feared enemy. Commander Zektar sat in his command chair and tried to write his final report. How do you explain that 50 humans from a Deathworld had accomplished what the entire coalition military could not do? How do you describe creatures so adapted to violence that they considered this battle easy? He finally wrote, the humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They are also the most helpful. They fight like demons, but they fight for good causes. Recommendation: immediate diplomatic contact and military alliance. Warning: never, ever make them angry. He sent the report and leaned back in his chair. Somewhere in the galaxy, there was a world called Earth that produced warriors like Jake Morrison and his crew. The coalition had just made contact with Apex, predators who used their abilities to protect the innocent. Zektar smiled for the first time in weeks. The galaxy was about to become a much safer place. For everyone except the bad guys in space, the human ship flew toward home, carrying news. That would change the galaxy forever. Humanity was no longer alone, and their new neighbors were very lucky that Huma